C9 vs BLG started the way it would continue, as an absolute fistfight in bot lane. Elk stepped up a bit too far and got engaged on by Sven. What would have been a good trade for C9 turned bad as they overchased and On took Berserker very low. A few minutes later, Elk overstepped again, but On's heal had come back off cooldown, which was almost enough to get Elk to safety, and even though Berserker did manage to finish the kill, it cost both C9 bot laners their lives. BLG tried to use this timer to start Drake, but were slightly too slow and C9 were ready to contest. Blabber missed the smite steal, but was able to kill Shun before chasing down On as well. Elk escaped with around 100 HP, only to then overstay and die less than a minute later when Nocturne hit level 6. C9 picked up a few kills here and there, but a massive momentum shift happened at 16 minutes, when some unfortunate timing from Sven meant he didn't see Vi dash over the wall, causing him to face check what he thought was an empty bush. MSI then took a very greedy path, which BLG were quick to punish. Blabber tried to turn the play, knowing that Elk and On were separated from the rest of their team, and a good preemptive flash follow kept the Fear Tether in range, forcing Elk to cleanse. Berserker flash gale forced forward to help Blabber finish off the kill. Then when the play looked like it was over, Bin flashed onto the side, knowing that he was about to turn Mega, which allowed BLG to pick up 2 more kills. BLG then slowly grew a lead until the game-deciding fight at 29 minutes. Shun knows that Fudge is desperately trying to look for a flank, and engages on him to make sure he can't get it. A good stopwatch dodges the Vile and saves his life as Yagao mistimes his flick. MSI chooses to steal the higher risk, higher reward Gnarl instead of the Vial, which comes back to bite him as he hits nobody with it and instantly dies. With Nami and Talia E both on cooldown, Blabber knows this is his best chance to get onto Elk, which he manages to do with backup from Sven. However, Xayah simply cannot keep up with the dive and only now gets in range to start dealing damage. He gale forces through the unraveled earth to finish off Nami, which cost him a good chunk of his health bar. Fudge goes in onto Yagao, which distracts Bin and allows Berserker to style on Shun, first using the Featherstorm to dodge Shun's Q flash, before predict flashing the follow-up Q. Now in a 2v2, Yagao sidesteps the Rakan knockup, meaning Berserker has no way to close the gap onto him, and has to peel back instead. The C9 ADC tried his heart out, but Bin was just too strong at this point, and he eventually killed Berserker, giving BLG the Infernal Soul. C9 now had to make a miracle happen, and a pick onto Yagao near the Baron looked like it might have been what they needed before it all went wrong. Fudge's TP was too aggressive, and the rest of C9 simply could not defend it. Fudge died almost instantly after arrival, and then BLG ran down the rest of C9 and claimed the Baron that would end the game. Game 2 continued the bot lane fistfight, as Elk lost both summoners level 1. C9 tried to push their advantage, but once again it would prove to be too much, as Elk survived and On took first blood instead. Elk kept on playing aggressively, and Sven kept on finding the knockups. It looked like Elk would survive again after flashing to avoid the Galio taunt, but this time Berserker managed to snipe him under the tower. C9 tried to punish him again while his flash was down, but Elk didn't flash at Sven's predict W, instead standing his ground and obliterating Blabber. MSI took matters into his own hands and roamed bot to rescue the play for C9, killing Elk in a 1v3. Sven and Berserker eventually crashed the wave and were able to help MSI take down Shun as well. The game then slowed down dramatically until 23 minutes. Yagao thought he was safe to zone C9 from entering the river, but Sven found the engager over the wall once he had used the Scatter the Weak. C9 used this pick to start the Baron, trusting MSI to keep Shun out of the pit, but he was a little too slow and Vi managed to sneak in for the steal. After doing a decent job limiting the impact of BLG's Baron, C9 found a pick onto On, which should have led to Soul Point for C9, but Sven wanted to push for more and engaged in another fight. Bin turned onto Blabber and had just enough damage to one-shot him during his stun duration, meaning he couldn't use the Lamb's Respite, winning the fight for BLG. C9 were once again forced to look for a game-saving fight, but Bin just managed to stay ahead of the Galio engage, baiting MSI into getting one tap by Elk, who would then shred the rest of C9 with his 4-item Lucian, closing the game out with a quadra kill that was this close to being a penta. In game 3, C9 lane swapped Fudge and MSI to get Sion out of the Gwen lane, but it didn't go to plan as Bin turned a gank around, getting first blood in a 1v2. It seemed like the ship was starting to sink for C9 before a fight broke out in bot river. BLG thought they could fight it with their lane priors, but Yagao was actually out of mana, and Blabber had his Conqueror fully stacked after starting the fight off in a 1v1 with On. C9 managed to pick up 3 unanswered kills, with 2 of them being picked up by Berserker's Aphelios. This stabilised the game for C9 and kept it even until 18 minutes. C9 wanted to play for the Hex Drake as it would put them on Soul Point. BLG however placed the Rift Herald mid lane to pressure C9. Now, if they played too slowly, the Herald would simply march down mid, taking their towers. Blabber felt the pressure and engaged onto Bin, knowing that they were running out of time. However, Gwen was the worst target as he simply dropped the Hallowed Mist and shredded Fudge in C9's face with immunity. C9 would not let the dragon go, as if they could get it, the play was maybe still okay. Both junglers missed the smite and the dragon was actually picked up by Yagao before On found his way onto Berserker after looping around the back of the pit, resulting in a massive teamfight win for BLG. All the while, Bin had escorted Shelly into the C9 base, taking all 3 mid towers. BLG were in complete control and took Baron before gifting C9 a lifeline. On had sacrificed himself to zone Blabber from the pit, but the rest of BLG thought they could turn the fight after securing the objective. They were wrong, and the ensuing teamfight resulted in an ace for C9 and BLG no longer wearing purple. Pressure began to mount, and then the valve burst at 29 minutes. MSI found a good flank flank onto Elk and took most of his health bar. Blabber tried to capitalize and dived onto him, but Elk was ready with the stopwatch and baited the C9 jungler to his death, securing BLG another Baron. At 33 minutes after finding a pick on Fudge, BLG showed C9 that trying to defend their top inner tower was a huge mistake. On started the dive off, and Aphelios just could not do any damage to the Alistar. Sven and Eminez fell, leaving Blabber and Berserker to defend the base, but Bin wouldn't give Berserker a chance, diving all the way through C9 base, killing him on the steps of his own fountain. Without any wave clear left alive, C9 would not stop BLG from ending the series 3-0. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed, maybe like and subscribe. Maybe you watch the other videos in the series. They're all pretty easy to recognize because they've all got the same thumbnails. There'll be another one coming out about the series today. The video will be coming out today.